Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. It is officially game week, boys. We are 6 days away from Tennessee taking on Virginia. Got to get through this work week, and then it's football time in Tennessee. We're going to help you get through that week right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. Got a tons of content coming your way this week. The morning shows are back, fan call-ins, all that fun stuff. It's going to be football time before you know it. But what are we looking for in this football game coming up on Saturday? What are you looking for? Because to me, this is more about Tennessee than it is Virginia. Tennessee just needs to go out there and be Tennessee. Look, the reality is Virginia is not a very good football team. Tennessee favored by 4 touchdowns. The ESPN FPI has Tennessee at 87.3% chance to win this football game. I think Tennessee just needs to go out, establish the run, be physical, be dominant. And Joe Milton, all the eyes are going to be on Joe Milton in this football game. Which Joe Milton do we get? Can he live up to the pressure? Can he live up to the hype? Can he live up to the expectations? I think Joe just needs to go out and be Joe, and we are going to be just fine. But what I'm going to be watching is this defense. What does the Tennessee defense look like against the Virginia team that is not very good on the offensive side of the ball? Look, a year ago, year one under Tony Elliott, they scored just 17 points per game, 344 yards. Not a good football team. They struggled to run the football. They struggled to protect the quarterback. What do they look like in year two under Tony Elliott? I don't really think they're going to be very good. I think Tennessee needs to look dominant on defense. We've talked a lot about the front seven throughout fall camp, how improved they are, how much depth is on this defense. So again, when you're playing a Virginia football team that's not very good on the offensive side of the ball, I expect Tennessee to come out and look dominant on defense. And if they don't, maybe we need to have some question marks going into year 3 of the Josh Heupel era. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about this Virginia team. But as always, you guys know what to do. Smash the thumbs up just below the video. That is quick, free, and easy, and it helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. We are building a community of Tennessee fans right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. If you want to be a part of that, make sure you subscribe, click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. And speaking of community, every Sunday night during the season, starting tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, you, the audience, have an opportunity to come on and run the show. It is your show. You have a voice here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. You just got to be a member of the channel. Hit the join button down below. The more you give, the quicker you get on the show. We get as many people on as we can. That kicks off tonight. Going to be a good time, man. Cannot wait for tonight's fan call-in show, 7 p.m. Eastern time. But again, let's talk about Virginia. Year 2 under Tony Elliott. And, one of the storylines tonight is going to be about the tragic ending to their season last year. 3 of the Virginia, football players killed during the campus shooting. Just a horrific way, a tragic ending to year 1 under Tony Elliott. They ended up finishing the year at 3-7. That's going to be a huge talking point because this game against Tennessee is going to be their first football game back. And there's going to be a lot of emotions on that Virginia sideline. And, some things are bigger than football, but you still got a job to do on Saturday. You still have to go out and play football. Can you keep those emotions in check? Just a lot going to be going through the minds, the hearts, the souls of those Virginia football players. But again, 3-7 a year ago, 1-6 in conference play. Tony Elliott, year 2, former offensive coordinator at Clemson. You got to laugh about the Danny White stuff that went on last week. If you missed that, go back, check it out. Made a video on that. The thumbnail says, text a buddy. Danny White firing off at Tony Elliott about whether he was or was not offered the Tennessee job. But I said earlier, a year ago, scored 17 points per game, 344 yards offensively is what they averaged. Just not a very good offensive football team. Defensively, they gave up 24 points per game. That's 49th in the country. They gave up 357 yards per game. 153.2 yards rushing per game and 204 passing through the air. So pretty good pass defense, but overall just not good. Right around the middle of the pack defensively, really, really bad on offense. Right now, going into the year, pretty banged up. The first one you got to point out is probably their best player on defense, Chico Bennett, non-contact knee injury. Now, as of last week, they said he had 10 days where he was not going to be allowed to do anything at all. So how much is that going to be a factor? Does he even try to give it a go against Tennessee? I would highly doubt. I highly doubt we see him on the football field, but pretty banged up across the board. Sophomore running back Xavier Brown is expected back. Originally thought he was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, but I'd say he will be back. Sophomore wide receiver Dakota Twitty is going to miss a couple of weeks, so he's out for this Tennessee game. Penn State offensive line transfer Jimmy Christ is about another week away. So does he end up on the field, or is he just back out on the practice field? So across the board, pretty banged up. Sophomore tackle Mikael Boley, currently out with an ankle sprain. Just a lot of guys out from a team that's not very good to begin with. Now let's talk about this football team. At the quarterback position, quarterback Brennan Armstrong, 3-year starter, would have been the starter going into this year, decides to transfer to NC State. They start to look at a quarterback competition. You've got Jay Woolfolk, who is also a baseball player, and that's going to kind of come into play here in just a second. Tony Muskett, transfer quarterback from Monmouth. Going to be a quarterback competition with those two, and also a true freshman. Jay Woolfolk was the backup last year behind Brennan Armstrong. He decided he's no longer going to be a part of the football team, going to focus his time and efforts and energy on being a baseball player. So Tony Muskett named the starter again. Not first time playing Division I football. Transferred from Monmouth, had 5,600 passing yards, 51 touchdowns in 23 starts. What is that good for when you're talking about big boy football? When you're talking about stepping up, now you're playing against a team in the SEC, team coming off of 11 wins. And again, as we look at this offense for Virginia, this is why I think Tennessee needs to be dominant on defense. If not, I think we're going to have some question marks, boys, because you've got, again, Monmouth transfer Tony Muskett named the starter. Wide receiver also struggling here, replacing their top 4 wide receivers, trying to rebuild an offensive line. When you look at the wide receiver position, 2 of their projected starters, Malachi Fields, Dimmick Starling, combined for 8 catches a year ago. Now, they do have a talented wide receiver, and it's kind of the guy that I would be watching on Saturday. That is Northwestern transfer Malik Washington. Led Northwestern in receiving yards last year, 65 catches, 694 yards, and a touchdown. I expect him to be the top wide receiver on this team. But again, as I said, first and foremost, can you rely on Tony Muskett, the transfer from Monmouth? And on top of that, the offensive line, ton of turnover on that offensive line. A year ago, they gave up 3.5 sacks per game, also struggled to run the football, only ran the football 123 yards per game. So not very good. That offensive line was not very good, and they lost 4 starters off of that offensive line. So a complete rehaul of that offensive line unit. The running the football, their leading rusher a year ago was quarterback Brennan Armstrong, who again is now at NC State. Senior Paris Jones is back, had 81 carries for 365 yards and 2 touchdowns a year ago. Also, they added transfer from Clemson, Kobe Pace. He is a senior, upperclassman, rushed for 641 yards and 6 touchdowns as a sophomore, but then battled an injury last season. We'll see how he bounces back. But just looking at that offense as a whole, again, a year ago, averaged 17 points a game. Not very good. You're bringing in a quarterback that played for Monmouth. Have you even heard of Monmouth? Have you ever even heard of Monmouth to know what this kid did a year ago? Is he ready to play big boy football? They don't have an offensive line to protect him. They lost their top 4 wide receivers. This Virginia offense is just not very good. Defensively, they are a little bit better defensively than they are offensively. Again, gave up 24 points per game, kind of right in the middle defensively as far as numbers and statistics go, but their front 7. They returned everybody outside of Nick Jackson, who was their leading tackler a year ago. Really good football player, but they returned 6 of their front 7. Now, also, you got to remember Chico Bennett, that led the team in sacks a year ago, is likely out for this game. Also, a guy to keep an eye on, Cameron Butler, pretty good coming off the edge, had 4 sacks a year ago. They are replacing both starting corners, but they do have 4 players at safety that have some experience. All 4 guys in the 2 deep have experience starting in that secondary at the safety position, led by Jonas Sanker, second on the team a year ago with 63 tackles last fall. So pretty decent defensively. Picture perfect matchup for Tennessee. If you're going to play against a team, I would rather them be better defensively, because I trust Josh Heupel to go out, scheme them up, and score some points. Not very good offensively. What does this Tennessee defense have against Virginia on Saturday afternoon? A couple of things for me to watch. Again, I said it at the top of the video. I think Tennessee just needs to be Tennessee. They've got better talent. They've got better coaching. Just go out, take care of business, establish the run game, run the football, get things going on the ground. I would like to see Jalen Wright. I would like to see Jabari Small, maybe some Dylan Sampson, maybe a couple of 100-yard rushers. Let's just establish that run game. Be physical, be dominant. Joe Milton, all eyes are going to be on Joe Milton. We're looking for Orange Bowl Joe. Be accurate, make good decisions, maybe get mixed in the run game a little bit. Probably won't do that a whole lot. I would imagine they will try to protect Joe a little bit, maybe show some speed option, maybe show some things that you want Florida here in a couple of weeks to be keeping an eye on, get them schemed up, ready to go. But Joe just needs to go out and be Joe. And then defensively, again, I want to see this front seven. I want to see how good the front seven is. We've been talking them up, hyping them up all fall camp. Now you're going against a Virginia offense that is not very good, not a lot of experience. The offensive line's depleted. A quarterback that was playing at Monmouth, wherever that's at, whoever that is, not a very good quarterback. Tennessee needs to be dominant on defense. You guys jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts. What are you looking for from Tennessee on Saturday? Do you think Virginia's got anything for them? You can go ahead and put your score predictions in the comments if you want. I will save mine for the Wednesday night show. But again, tons of content coming your way. Fan call-in show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then tomorrow morning, the morning shows return. Myself, Eric Kane, going live at 9 a.m. Be dialed in for that. Always a good time having Kaner on the show. But that's going to do it for this one. Smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Go check out the merch. You guys know where, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Also, make sure you got those memberships up to date. Hit the join button down below. The more you give, the quicker you get on. We usually start at the top with the Watch Party Enthusiast, Boogie's Boss, and also Talkin VAWLS Elite. If we have time, we will come on down to Talkin VAWLS Gold, Talkin VAWLS Faithful, and then finally Emoji Access. So if you're looking forward to jumping on the show tonight, make sure you get those memberships renewed and go check out the merch. Again, all the links are in the description below. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.